created so that there would be notice to the public of a large construction project going on. And the intent was so that there was a public meeting. So, but now it's forced all these commissioners to vote on stuff, and all the commissioners were required to vote for it because it met code. If we didn't, we could get sued. So it was, they've asked us instead of replace the public hearing requirement and replace it with a public presentation. So if you look at the text that's been amended, all the parts about the public hearing, like a quasi-judicial hearing where people are under oath and so forth, and that the commissioners vote, instead of that, we've removed all such language, and instead, it's just a public presentation at the public meeting. And it accomplishes the same goal without putting the commissioners in the position of having to vote, mandating them to vote in a positive manner on something. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm happy to answer any questions, but it's kind of a simple issue. But
Yeah, I guess my question is, if that's the intent, then why are we still not notifying the neighbors? Because I guess I can see not having them vote and doing a presentation versus, I don't know what you would call it otherwise, but why, I still feel like if something 50,000 square feet were going up right near my house, I'd want to see the sign that it was coming or be notified in mail that it was coming. So I kind of, I get the not voting on it. That totally makes sense because you are giving the impression that you're approving this project, whether or not you had any choice in it. It's part of the zoning and they have a right to it. But I don't know about not notifying the neighbors and the public. That would be my concern.
Yeah, I had the same concern.
Is there a way, I mean, is there a way to still send the letters or still put up the blue boards or do
so if
green
you look
boards
at
instead of blue?
subparagraph F, the old F that got deleted, that talked about the notice requirements for a public hearing. And since we removed it being a public hearing and instead a presentation, that section doesn't apply. So we'd have to probably create a whole new section to continue at least the advertising or the publishing.
Right.
Because it's no longer a public hearing. It's
Yeah.
just a presentation. So I think that's possible that we could do that if you want, if that's,
That would be
obviously you can
my-
make that recommendation in a motion, and then the board, when it gets to the commission, can consider that.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with you. That was my major concern too.
I mean, because it just seems like the intent that kind
Well,
of
we don't,
wasn't that.
for presentations, we don't do public advertising for it. So, and this is kind of a unique situation. First off, there's not a lot of projects that have a 50,000 square foot building or more in Stewart anymore. So it's not going to come up that often.
But those storage units just did recently, right? That was the
Right.
most recent.
And that's, I think, what triggered this. So,
Okay.
correct.
So it can happen.
Yeah, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying it's very rare. It's not every project. So,
So if that does happen, if you do notice, I'm assuming it's still post-approval, so it's already been approved? When
So-
the presentation is done?
yeah, so
Yeah.
it was, before they could get to the board, even under our code, it had to be in compliance with the code, and the development department would verify whether it met code. They didn't move forward unless they met code, so then they would get to the meeting, and they met code, so you couldn't vote against it, but it gave the, people could be upset, and it gave the, idea that these commissioners were voting in favor for, it put them in an awkward position. And I don't think that was the intent. I think the intent was like what you're saying, is to bring a public hearing where everybody was notified. And I think there was an adverse consequence, just wasn't thought of when they created it. So we're hoping to, we make it just a presentation, and if we need to do notice, that's fine. I mean, I don't think that's an issue. We can add that language back in.
Is there a way to add it while it's still being
Drafted.
because I guess, yeah. I mean, I guess my thought was, I mean, I know it's a different circumstance, but like when the hotel had come before us, the neighbors behind were like, well, can the lights not be shining down on our, like, could there be an opportunity for, but I guess by the time the presentation's made, it's already been administratively approved. So is there a a window of opportunity to notify the public before it's administratively approved?
Well, and somewhat similar, they don't like the fact now because it's making them look like they're voting in favor of a project, but it's going to make them look really bad to the public if all of a sudden there's no signs going up and people are like, you didn't even notice us anymore? Like,
Yeah.
you could really have two sides to this that could go very wrong.
I think it's swinging too far in the one
I
direction.
agree.
There's probably some middle ground of notice
That's what I'm thinking. too.
that would rectify them voting
Yeah.
on something they don't approve, but at the same time, not allowing a 50,000 square foot building to spring up on neighbors that they weren't even had any idea
Yeah.
was coming.
Well, to go back, you mentioned the hotel. The hotel was
I know it was different.
It was, yeah, they were doing a land use change or a zoning change, I couldn't
Yeah.
remember. So they weren't going in compliance with the code. This is where something is in compliance
Right.
with the code.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that are in compliance with code that we don't get noticed on. But obviously, a 50,000 square foot building is
Would be nice
it's
to get notice.
abnormal. It's not a usual size project anyway. It's going to be on a limited basis anyway.
Yeah.
But still, we're talking about it meets code, so even if people get notice and they object,
There's not necessarily anything
their
they
objection doesn't matter, but is
There's
there,
not much they could do about
in
it.
the presentation, is there even like a public comment, or is it just a presentation?
Yeah, every meeting, just like we ask. for
Okay,
any
so
public
will, so
comment,
they,
We're
okay,
required to have public comment.
okay, so they can voice their concern, and whoever is installing the development maybe could just be a good neighbor and hear the concerns and be like, all right, we might,
We could
yeah, we
address
could do
that.
that.
Yeah.
Well, and maybe even it's the language on the signs, then instead of a public hearing, it's saying a public presentation will be made on this development.
Or it may, I don't know too, I don't know what everybody thinks, whether we're talking signs or letters, because I know sometimes the surrounding, so maybe a letter goes out saying, this has administrative approval, but we're doing a presentation on it. If you're
You want
concerned or
general
would like to meet the developer and hear more about it, I don't know. I'm not sure what
Yeah.
legally would make sense and/or,
Well, I don't know if it's legal, I mean, there's legal requirements, if you're having a public hearing, you have to do it. We're not having a public hearing, so this is all voluntarily
Yeah.
done. So legally, I mean, it's not illegal to notify people of a new project going in that's being approved administratively. So there's nothing wrong with it legally, it's just procedurally. We are required, like I said, when there is a public hearing, but we're removing the public hearing process. This is kind of unique. It's not something typically you do, even have a presentation. I think the board mentioned those words, we still would like a presentation so we're aware of it and that the public would be aware of it. Obviously, our agendas are publicized and a project that size is probably not going to go unnoticed, but
Yeah, but I still think, especially depending on the area of town it's in, that when people see the blue signs, they typically like notice. And it's just like when I remember there was a discussion on one of our things, what was the notice? And they're like, we put an ad in the newspaper. Well, nobody gets the newspaper anymore. So if we have a means, whether it be the blue signs or the letters, so that the public is still made aware of major developments, I think that that's a good thing.
we've also, and I think it's live now, right? If I remember, we have it on our website. We have a map you can click on and it shows colors on a map of the city and all the current.
but if you don't know anything's coming, you don't know to go
Yeah.
look there and
Right,
look
right.
it up. The blue signs probably lead people to go to that and look for what's coming, but if
Yeah.
without a sign or a letter,
Yeah.
you wouldn't even know, and then, they start breaking ground and you're like, and I think that people would be angry with the commission
Yeah.
and the city because if things just popped up.
Yeah. And I also think that if there is that capability, I didn't know about that capability. I don't think most of us know that that capability exists. So it would be great on your social media, Stuart, like social media pages, to put like that information, like make a post that, did you know what I mean? That sort of thing.
Good evening, Board. My name is Jody Kugler. I'm the Development Director. So we just rolled out this website like last week.
Oh, perfect.
So we are actually going to advertise it in our newsletter, and we're
Cool.
going to ask our PIO to put it on our, to advertise it as well. We also have all of our development applications that are online now, so you can go into our portal and you can look in there as well.
Oh, very cool.
So we just rolled all this out, so We are going to start trying to, maybe it's something that we post in a newsletter every month, whenever they do post that, to post what development applications have been applied for. And plus, going on our website, you can look at our dashboard, and the dashboard is very easy. We wanted to make it very simple. What's in progress, what is a pre-app, and then we broke it out to what's commercial areas, what's residential. So you can kind of see the areas where they're
Yeah.
located. If you click on it, it'll tell you what the project is, when it was submitted, if it requires public hearing, who your planner is, and who your developer is.
And where on the website is that?
It's
and
on
how
our
do we find it?
development page right now, but we're getting ready to move it over to the front page so people can actually see it. But we are going to ask our PIO to go ahead and advertise it in a newsletter, get it out there. Hey, did you know? Same thing. But that will also give a better understanding of like what's going on in your neighborhood, because just not major developments going on in your neighborhood. You also have site plans, you have, conditional uses that don't require a public hearing action, but it does affect your neighbors. It could affect your neighbors just because the code doesn't say that you're required to notice anybody. We wanted to be a little bit more transparent and get it out there. So if people want to know, like, what's next door? I see I have a vacant land. Well, I know it's not going to stay vacant,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of things that don't require a public hearing. So we wanted to start getting that out there.
Okay, that's very cool.
I think in this instance too, notifying the neighbors just helps the developers know that they have to be good neighbors, because the neighbors are going to be noticed and perhaps show up at the meeting, where if there's no blue sign and no notice, the developers can well, this is all by code and they don't have to, I don't know. I just think
respectful. I agree with that.
it forces their hand to be good neighbors a little bit.
All right, would somebody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. I guess I'm going to make a motion to accept the agenda item, but with the recommendation that we add a public notice component to it. Is that enough?
I just say, motion to recommend approval with the condition that the notice requirement remain in there, because there is a notice requirement in the original.
Right.
And I took that out, and we could put it back in, but just instead of, because it talks about
Instead
public
of public
hearing.
hearing, public
Public
presentation.
presentation.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Public comment?
Oh, yeah, wait, did anybody have any comments? No?
Okay.
Okay.
I have Vice Chair Peterson,
Yes.
Board Member Bowles,
Yes.
Chair Lorraine,
Yes.
Board Member Strom,
Yes.
and Board Member Vogel.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Do we have any staff updates? No staff updates?
Other than our website.
That's exciting. That's a good one.
Yeah, very exciting.
All right, thank you very much. We call this meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.